fabulous, fabulous, fabulous information today from one of the Mud Fossil followers watching the physics work that we are doing at Mud Fossil University. And these are the Higgs fields that are the magnetic fields that surround powerful energetic particles. And what that powerful energetic particle does, which is the little stream of particles, they create a literal magnetic field circling that charged particle as it passes through the air. This is identical to what happens in a wire. However, this is in midair. Now, normally you don't see this. However, this is being shown up because we accelerated light, and it is now crashing down and forcing itself through the ether that is there and acts as a resistance against these particles, and they polarize the ether into these patterns, plus minus, plus minus, plus minus, and they are all at certain ranges from each other, because that is exactly how magnetic fields work. They push an exact distance away. Now, this was accelerated light. I've shown this over and over and over. We've shown the right-hand rule, accelerated light, the boson particles, the Higgs fields, and even this, which accelerates with one of these fields and explodes into a tiny field and splits a field. So it's so deep that there's no denying that this is some kind of electronic reaction from coming through the accelerated slit, and we're seeing everything that they're asking for as far as Higgs bosons goes. So this is it. Now let's look at what I found today, and I have seen the other ones too. I've seen other ones, and it's because of these cameras. These cameras are capable of picking up absolutely amazing things, and these are only cell phone cameras. Now watch this. Alright, now this was sent to me this morning, and I jumped in here and I started looking at it so quick, and I lost who sent it to me, and I'm sorry, but whoever did send this to me, I much appreciate it, and I always try to make mention of who was so gracious as to send me these things, and I am sorry, and I'm looking around and I can't find the person. I'm not sure who it was. I have to be perfectly honest with you. I read so many responses here. Now, here's another person that is commenting on these particular patterns, and this person says, I wanted to tell you Steve was Naughty Beaver did a video on object captured. Speculation, it could be Ezekiel's wheel. Now, that's just some speculation, but here's what it is, and it is it's pretty spectacular because it's exactly what I've been finding. Now, it's Mr. MBB333, and apparently he does he goes after phenomena, and I do too. It's the exact same thing I do, because I want to know everything. I want to know anybody that has anything they want to have examined and explained. I'd love to see it, and I have one that came in from a friend of mine in New Zealand. I'm going to show you in a minute, which will blow your mind as well. But this is, it says, Canine appears to see a ghostly apparition in the photo, and here it is. Now I'm going to let him talk to you about this. But that's it. I mean, if you can see that is not what I just showed you of mine, and I can't help you. Hold on, he's going to talk about it, because he saw one too. This just happened. Now, he saw one a long time ago, not in the clouds, and I saw one the other day, which came down, and it was yellow, and it was in the night. Normally you don't see these until it's in the darkness, right in between day and night. But this one was coming down in that, and it hit the earth, and it actually, you could see it wash its way right across the earth. Absolutely phenomenal. And I did do a video on that one. So let's watch this.
Something that I've seen personally back over 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I've never seen it since until this month. Actually, this was sent in last month. I've seen that in the sky myself one time in my life, and I wasn't looking for it, and it wasn't on a cloudy day. And I think the reason that this is a little more profound is because of the clouds. When I saw it, there were no clouds, and I did a video about it 6 years ago, trying to explain what I saw, but I had never seen anything like this, nor was I looking for it. I was simply standing outside as my family and I were at a friend's birthday party. I stepped outside for a few minutes, and that appeared in the southern sky, about 20 degrees above the horizon. but it was all blue sky. So it made this thing, whatever it is, appear to be blue. But that's what I saw. And you can clearly see that this object, whatever it is in the clouds.
All right, let me just explain something. You can almost see the polarized particles or polarized chunks of whatever. I don't know, I mean, I'm just looking and seeing. But then you can see like little regions in here. Now, I did another video on these are very similar to the Tether incident and the John Glenn fireflies. And I'll point towards that in a minute. But I don't suppose there's any need to go much further on this, but he did say, well, let's listen to what he says, because he talks about how it lingered there and then it took off. This is what really interests me. All right, here we go.
This little section of clouds here is in front of that thing. Don't know what it is. I can't even begin to speculate, but I still remember to this day, and it's been over 10 years, watching this thing for a little over 2 minutes in the southern sky as it drifted slowly from west to east and then exited out of the top of the atmosphere, backed up and went straight up out in the blink of an eye. It was the most unbelievable thing I think I've ever seen in the sky. But there it is again. That was sent in by Jeff. He apparently noticed this thing also. So incredible. Here's a little different look at it so you can tell that it's just not some anomaly, and it is in between the clouds. There are clouds in front of this thing. That is a structure, and that is very...
And it's very interesting because, I mean, it is obviously the same pattern that we're picking up with the light discs in my experiments. And someone else commented on this and said they saw the exact same thing, and theirs did this exact same thing. It lingered, I think that guy said 45 minutes, and then took off straight up into the atmosphere. Now, what are we looking at here? Let's go back and look at this, because I'm going to explain to you what you're seeing. Now, I don't know if it is just, let me put it this way. What you are seeing here is some form of an energy source, an extreme energy source. And I will tell you why I can say it's an energy source. It doesn't have to be magnetic necessarily, because heat does the same thing, candles. I'm going to show you, because I just ran into this, was asked to explain something. And I will show you how they create these interference patterns, which are heat, they're electrons forcing themselves out from some source that is heating and vibrating and shaking and forcing into each other's regions, and they're forcing other electrons out, and they are creating fields that separate each other by those quantum distance, because that one will have a certain polarity to it, which will push into the next exact distance. This is what I'm seeing in my experiments, and this is all I can explain to you. And this is what I'm saying. The source in the center here is what we're going to call a charge carrier. Whatever that means. A bucket of positiveness or negativeness that's so excessively negative, it's forced out here, creating these waves. Now I'm going to show you how that can actually happen even with candles. This blew my mind. A friend of mine, Toro, over in New Zealand, sent me this stuff, and we worked it out together, how this occurred. And I'm going to show you that now. All right, here's what we got. This is what Toro sent me. These are just standard candles, nothing special, just like your average candles. It's in a fairly dark background, enough so that the light shows up well in the air. Now, you see what you have? These little bars, bip, 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 and these candles are facing each other. Let me show you a couple other shots. All right, I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing here, and you can see what you see. These are the two candles. Strictly standard candles, nothing special. He's taken this with a regular cell phone. He said it was a Samsung Galaxy 7, I think he said. And he had seen this last year in his Christmas pictures, and was very wondering what it was, and he saw my research, and he asked me to comment on it. So when I saw it, I was interested. Now, from behind, originally it was in a corner, so there was one here, and there was a corner. So I'm thinking, maybe they're bouncing off the walls, or who knows what. So I had them put them on the table, and they still do the same thing. Now, what is this beam, literally, it's almost like a beam. And that one is almost like a beam as well. Well, why is it splaying out this way and splaying out? Nothing in the center. Why are these little bars here? Why is this glowy? And it's not glowy here. All right, let me show you something else. All right, you see that candle right there? Exact same candle, only there's no other candle near it glowing. And you see that the circular pattern, and it's just glowing in this whole area here. So there's nothing special other than the combusting area is sending off electrons into the atmosphere, and those electrons are smashing into other electrons which are captured around matter, which is molecules, oxygen and hydrogen and all that stuff that's floating, nitrogen in the air, and they are bouncing off and radiating out the light signature of those molecules. And in addition, you have heat. So what's happening is those molecules are going whoosh out into the air. They're slamming into other atoms. And at that point, they push around those molecules in there, creating heat. And some of them are so pushed that they bounce off of here in these frequencies of light. Now, you notice there are no bars. Now, let me show you something else. You saw how the other ones had all the different radiated bars coming out, which was the resonating of actually forcing each other to vibrate into their regions. Now, these are too close. They're actually combining these regions, and as a they are still pushing away some in this area, so you don't get as much glow in this area, but you do get some interaction here, which is not the case in the separated ones. You get only a push away. Now, that creates a very, very barely, you can just barely see the little separation lines, so there's very little bounce here. They're almost creating a singular distribution of electrons from this central source. And if you could get them even closer, they would become a single source. So there is a distance. As you can open this up more and more, you can actually regulate the bars that you're going to see. All right, this is John Glenn reporting fireflies when he first went into orbit, one of the first people in space. And he reported back these things are all over him, and he's going to talk about it in a second. This is from Mars Moon Space TV. John Glenn describes fireflies. Here we go.
They swirl around the capsule and go in front of the window, and they're all brilliantly lighted. They probably average maybe 7 or 8 feet apart. But I can see them all down below me also.
All right, now, here's what you have to understand. He is still in the darkness. So these are lingering in the semi-darkness of space. They're being illuminated because they're being washed with a little bit of sunlight right now. But he's just coming into these, seeing them. Shortly they will be completely washed out. As he approaches these, this is the ionosphere. These are the ions in the ionosphere. These are the electric particles. These are the electrons. Some of them are highly charged and spinning like crazy and very bright. Some of them are very dim. They have different spins, different frequencies, different angular momentums. But they hang around out here until the sunlight comes in and drives them to the Earth. That's my take. Now watch.
Negative. They're very slow.
All right, they just asked him if anywhere he could feel them impact it, or he could hear them, and he said no, they're very slow. And listen.
They're not going away from me more than maybe 3 or 4 miles per hour. They're going at the same speed I am, approximately. They're only very slightly under my speed. Over.
They can't hear him. He's in the ionosphere.
They do have a different motion, though, from me, because they swirl around the capsule and then depart back the way that I am looking. Are you receiving? Over.
They have no clue what he's saying. But this is the
There
light.
are literally thousands of them. This is Friendship 7. Am I in contact with anyone? Over.
I wanted to say just where he's coming in or out of sunlight, and you'll hear it.
This has been going on since about 1+15, over. Just after I remarked about the sunset, I looked back up and looked out the window, and all the little swirl of particles was going by, over.
All right, that's as far as we have to go. It's coming into the sunlight or coming out of it. It's sunlight or sunset, and and I did a video about showing exactly where it's going to show. It's like in the penumbra or whatever they call it around the Earth. It's not in the full illumination. It's in the darkness, but it's still illuminated as he's coming into it. He's like seeing through the veil of stars. Well, not stars. They're light. Now they will just hang around out here. We know they're out there. We know they're out there. Electrons. It's the ionosphere. They know that. This is what they look like. When the sunlight comes in, it either drives these, or the sunlight gets through them, or they mix. But whatever happens, that's how the sunlight will come in, and you can see it in the tether incident. Once the sunlight comes in, it's just like whoosh. It's a flood, and that's what I call it, the electron flood. That's my theory. Okay, this is 1996, I believe. This is from Kalion Khilov, and it's the NASA UFOs. They thought they were UFOs or whatever they know, but these are the light particles. Now watch, listen to this. Same thing, they're just coming into sunlight, and you'll see them all going in here. Now there's been an extraordinary pause in the discussion here, because they don't know what to say. They have no clue what to say, and they're trying to come up with something to say, and you'll see them trying to focus in and out, and they obviously can't get rid of them because they're there. Now, here goes. Look at that. That's the particles of light that are... See,
Columbia, Houston, that's a much better view, a lot more contrast visible. And how wide does that tether appear to be? It seems to resemble a much wider strand than we'd expect. Can you describe which way the satellite is visible on that strand?
see, he doesn't know. They're trying to zoom in and out and try to get it so that they can't, because he knows they're going to start asking him, what is all this stuff? And they can't get it out of there. They've been trying. So they're just being silent now because they don't know what to say. And then he'll say, oh, Claude's doing a good job of trying to clean up all this. There's little stuff floating with us. Well, it's not little stuff floating with him. See, they still have nothing to say. And eventually he's going to ask him, he's say, well, just talk to me. See, here's all your sunlight starting to come in now. Now it's starting to hit way up in the atmosphere. They're going to start to see it. They're just coming into sunlight. They still can't talk because they don't know what to say.
Satellite now 100 nautical miles.
You're completely unzoomed, and you see the full extent of the tether. I tried to adjust the focus, but I can't get better than that.
Okay, Claude. Thank you.
You're going to zoom in now.
They can't get better because then they can't get rid of it. It's true stuff that's there. There's nothing you can do about it. All right, so now they gave up. All right, so you remember this from the beginning. I claimed that that is some extremely high energy particle or thing in the center there that is creating energy fields around it, because anytime there's energy, the only way there's energy is to have something try to force into somebody else's regions. That's what I have found. And when that energy happens, it creates pushback, and the pushback creates these fields in exact different patterns, which are like the Fibonacci pattern or whatever you want to call it, but they're quantum distances between each particle, because each particle pushes the other particle exact distance away, and then it pushes this one this way and that one that way and this one this way, and it does it exactly in the same pattern. They form circles. And you remember my light circles, the same thing, high energy. There's very high energy. You don't normally see them in this kind of intense pattern until they got into this accelerated light, and then come crashing back into an unaccelerated state, just like Cherenkov radiation, which, and that's what they say, they create neutrino showers, electron showers, and that's what you see here. And these are the colors of leptons. Leptons are the lilacs and these different colors you see right here. That's all I can tell you. And this particle here, I'm going to show you something else. That particle will crash into one like this and create a mini one of those, or mini one of these, and another one. Well, I'll show you. All right, that's that white particle smashing into a field, creating its own field, and dumping off a little piece of a field. So I don't know if these particles have any size difference. I don't know if they have any energy level difference. I mean, I know they have differences. I know they have size difference, obviously. I know they have energy level difference. Obviously, the frequencies are different, the colors are different. The intensity and the thickness of the discs is different. Now, the reason I can claim that other white disk that was in the middle of the air is an extremely high energy particle in the middle giving off these waves is because of this. You see that? That's Cherenkov radiation created by one of those nice little round waves that's a normal little pulse from a laser, no real serious excitation until it gets in here like this. And then the stream of electrons, which is in the middle of the disk, forcing its way through the atmosphere just like a high-speed rocket, creating a shock wave. They start to compress into each other's regions and they fight each other, and then they create a reverse EMF, an electromagnetic field. And because they're forcing each other into each other's regions, they cannot stand that. And they now have to accelerate because of this, and they come out of here in an extremely high accelerated Cherenkov radiation and atomized, and as it comes down, it shoots out particle rays, which to a physicist they would say that it would be a boson particle, and it's a charged carrier because it's a negative, an electron. And you can see they're spinning. They spin like this. They're particles, they're not waves. They spin, and if you looked at the side, it'd look like this, but it's actually the particle spinning down this way, smashing here. If it smashes coming into this way, it goes off that way. If it smashes coming into this side, it goes off this way. Simple as that. Bam. Bam, it goes this way. Bam, it goes that way. Bam, it comes this way. Most of them come through the center. Absolute simplicity. And they cannot stand to be in each other's regions, just like if you force two neodymium magnets together. They're not going to do that. All right, that's what happens here. Getting back to the point of where I was going with this is, you see here, look at that. That's reverse radiation. That puppy is putting out unbelievable reverse radiation because it is such an intense electronic reaction. So everybody is forcing each other back out and creating these patterns around. Electron move, you move, and they just keep moving. And that's why you have this polarized field around it. This is ether. You see him? Look at him swishing around here. All right, so now we get to the extreme bottom line of everything. I know this is high energy. Well, why is it just sitting there? And why did it just go flying off out into space? Two people said this. One said it sat there for quite some time. This other guy said it sat there for a while. Apparently this person, I really don't know. I need to talk to these people or get some more input from them. But from what I heard was they sit here just sitting there. Now, I wouldn't expect that. Of course, he said it drifted a little bit, but then it took right off into space. Now, why would it do that? I'm trying to figure out why a charged particle would just linger in the air. And this is not a cheap one here. This is not a little bitty particle. That puppy's got some serious energy. Why is it not just blending in and heating other things and turning into light? Why is it staying in its own region like that? Is that a black hole? Is it a black hole particle? I don't know. But why, I can't see how, if it was, you know, I'm starting to think this is interesting. Because if it was some form of an electron dispenser, it would shoot off all these electrons, which would interact exactly what we're seeing. And what would it leave? It would leave a positive core, and a positive core will shoot straight up off the Earth. Wow, that could be some kind of a electron dispensation particle. And I'll show you why I can make that statement that it would shoot straight up off the Earth when it loses its electrons, which it is obviously doing. This could be a breakthrough. All right, what you want to take away from here is that a nuclear bomb blast goes straight up in the air, straight off the air, sucks everything straight up in the air, and balls up in here with an enormous amount of energy displayed. After the initial blast and the shock wave of all of the ether just being smashed out, and all of the electrons leaving, because now they have been forced into each other's regions. They are leaving as fast as they can, every single one of them that can leave, almost every single one. There may be some nuclear particles, which are the protons, going as well. What is left is a positive core, and the Earth is positive. It pushes that positive core straight up off the Earth. And that's what you're seeing. That is anti-gravity. All right, one last time. Now, you've seen what happens with an atomic bomb. It goes straight up in the air and pulls electrons in. Well, this is the opposite of that. This is, whatever is here is pushing electrons out, forcing them to create this pattern surrounding it, exactly like the light that I was showing. Now, at some point, the electrons inside of here are going to be depleted, and at that point, it will maybe take off and go straight up in the air. I don't know. This I don't know. Is the sunlight adding to this? Because I have seen that happen in the sonoluminescence. If it's outside in the sunlight, tremendous difference. Sonoluminescence, because it is electron flooding. Electrons come from the sun. They flood the Earth. That's why you get warm. You're getting slapped. You're getting literally slapped with electrons. It's not just a wave of nothing. It's a particle spinning at you, slapping you. All right? And when they don't, and if it, whatever doesn't rattle and shake you and heat you, bounces off as light so people can see you. That's how heat and light works. Now, after that, I mean, I see a lot of intensity here. I just don't know what to think, to be perfectly honest with you. All I can do is tell you, I understand the magnetic interactions that are going around. You don't create these fields without pushing these other guys out and saying, get out of the way, get away from me. And this guy will say, you get away from me. And that guy will say, you get away from me, get away from me. And they all stack up in these. But somebody in the middle here is telling everybody to get out. That's the energy guy. He's the one spitting out electrons, or has a magnetic propensity which is extremely negative. It's like a gigantic neodymium magnet in the sky. I can't put my finger on this. That's why we need to have people start thinking about it. All right, anyway, that's about all I got to say about this. Come up to Mud Fossil University on YouTube. Ring the bell. You know, just get into this. Get a little discussion going on about this. If you have something to offer, we appreciate it. Don't come up and just beat people up and ignore everything. Oh, you're an idiot, which is, you know, pretty much what happens. You know, we could use some input, and I appreciate these people putting these things up, and I hope somebody appreciates. Well, I know people do appreciate what I'm doing. I don't want to belittle people thinking what I'm doing is not important. You know, some do, but some just take it as assault, and it's not an assault. It's a reality. It's the truth, and that's all we want. And just because it's not what you had heard in a book or something, just, you know, get away from that. Think about it. Open your mind up. Not that hard to see this. All right? I love you. See you later. Bye.